So, Nubret or Arnold? What if I tell you that the answer depends on the value? One sculptured symmetry, the other created stage-dominating mass. Today, I will settle this. Serge Nubret or Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was better? So stay with me until the end, and we will get to the best answer. I'm Dr. Nash Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I competed 46 times, won 17 titles. I've been in bodybuilding for over 40 years. And during that time, I also coached over 3,500 clients. I published 10 books. They are all fully loaded with everything you want to know about bodybuilding. And if you want to access them, just click on the link in the comments and you can have them. There are 6 areas that we should look at before we bring the final verdict. So watch this video until the end, because every single area is critical for giving the best possible answer. So first, we have to talk about the physiques. Second, how they trained. Third, how they prepared for the show and how they dieted. Fourth, we need to look at the contest results and the era in which they competed. Fifth, we need to look at the posing and stagecraft. And the 6th area is the legacy that they left behind them, and actually that changed everything. So we will look at every area in detail and then try to bring the best possible answer. So when it comes to physique, shape, proportions, and aesthetics, we need to understand that Serge Nubret and Arnold have different frames, different builds, and that is clearly obvious and may decide your preference. Now, Serge was more sculptured. He had long lines, very tiny waist. He had amazing separation, especially regarding his upper body muscles. He looked more like a classical statue than a normal person, and he was defined by flow and symmetry. So if you value proportions, seamless transition between muscle groups, then obviously Serge Nubret will win this one. On the other hand, Arnold have a different build. His charisma and his demeanor was all about the impact that he had while on the stage. Arnold had a massive upper body, brilliant arms. Arnold also had big legs and calves. His presentation on the stage was all about a dominating mass. So if we look, for example, in the closer details, midsection will definitely belong to Serge Nubret. But then when it comes to the size of biceps, triceps, back, Arnold easily wins there. And also when it comes to legs and calves, Arnold dominates in that section too. Now let us look at their training methods and how they actually managed to achieve that greatness, that amazing bodies. So they both trained with high volume, but differently. Serge Nubret did more sets than Arnold, and he tended to pay more attention to sculpting his physique, developing detail, separation, definition. So this is why he paid attention more to continuous tension, high number of sets, high number of reps, feeling the muscle, full contraction at the top of every movement. And he managed to actually achieve exactly what he wanted with this distinctive type of training. So Arnold's training system was different. Although still high in volume, Arnold tended to use heavier weights because he was also concerned about size, about mass, much more than Nubret. Nubret didn't chase size, didn't chase mass. He chased proportion, symmetry, separation, quality, and definition. So these two different training volume systems actually resulted in different bodies. So if we look at the today, most advanced scientific research is done by electromyography. They both this system actually tick many boxes. First of all, they stimulate enough mechanical tension. Also, they cause a lot of metabolic stress, and that contributes to overall hypertrophy. So both those systems clearly worked, although slightly different. Now, the third area that we should look at is diet. So Serge Nubret was very strict when it comes to diet, and he was obviously known to eat up to 6 pounds of meat a day. Before the show, he would rely exclusively on meat, while Arnold had a different approach. Arnold would have different diet. He would rely more on not just meat, but also eggs. And diets also reflected, in a way, the final product, the final conditioning on the stage. So although not very different, Nubret was more drastic, and obviously that maybe contributed to his unparalleled conditioning. Now, the area number 4 that we need to consider is also competition record. So we know that Arnold won a lot of Mr. Olympia titles and others as well, but Nubret, despite winning many top titles, he never won Mr. Olympia. So he was second, for example, in 1975. And if we look at just competition record, clearly Arnold is dominating there. But also we need to look at the timeline, because in those days, although judges preferred symmetrical proportionate bodies, they were also looking at size. The size started slowly dominating, and obviously the choice when it comes to the first place, especially Mr. Olympia, wasn't just conditioning but also size. Having said that, it doesn't mean that Arnold didn't have proportions and Arnold didn't have good conditioning, but when you put everything together, size and conditioning and proportions, Arnold was winning those shows because Nubret was lacking size. But again, this is something that we have to acknowledge and accept, because that was happening in this particular time, and that does not have to influence your conclusion who was really better. The fifth area that we should look at is also posing and presentation, stagecraft. So the presentation on the stage was different. Nubret was more like his posing was more like a poetry. He was slow, deliberate, classical transitions, and which actually emphasized flow and line. He focused in his posing routine, especially on aesthetics. So he wanted to show his best weapons, basically his small waist, his conditioning of the upper body, and everything was actually geared up to that. Now, when it comes to Arnold, his posing was more like a theater. Arnold used obviously expansive transitions, confident smiles, and charisma to amplify his mass. He literally posed in order to dominate the stage. So these two approaches are very different, and again is all down to your personal preference, because at the end of the day, aesthetic pleasure aesthetic experience is highly subjective. So we can't argue about your personal aesthetic preference. Some people like more size, some people like more definition and symmetry. So just bear that in mind. Now, when it comes to the sixth area, again, we have to consider that the judging, and judges clearly had a little more preference towards Arnold's physique, and also they valued Nubret's presence, but judges wanted to create that feeling of strength as well, which Arnold clearly dominated and offered more than Nubret when it comes to his presentation on the stage. Now, when it comes to legacy, we know that Arnold Schwarzenegger clearly had a massive impact on globalizing the sport in general. So he promoted the sport. He was the face to the world when it comes to bodybuilding. He's very charismatic. He's very convincing. He always dominated with his presence, while Nubret was very different character. He didn't manage to achieve that charismatic dominance regarding masses, but his legacy is clearly in offering unseen aesthetics and beautiful lines, separation and conditioning, which we have never seen since Serge Nubret. That has never happened on that stage. So let me tackle 3 myths which are surrounding Nubret and Arnold. So when people talk about this, the myth number 1 is to say that Arnold was better in everything. This is not true. Arnold wasn't better in everything. Arnold had his strong points, but also Nubret had his strong points. So just to cut like that and say that Arnold was better in everything is absolute myth and is not true. Now, myth number 2 is that Serge was weak. I mean, that doesn't really matter in bodybuilding because bodybuilding is not powerlifting. But on the other side, Serge Nubret wasn't weak at all. He was very strong, considering his size and considering his frame. The myth number 3 is that one style of training was correct and the other one wasn't. That is also not true, and it's not true to say that what Nubret did was the best possible way of training, the best training system, or what Arnold did is the best. Both of them achieved phenomenal results, and as I mentioned in previous videos, we have to understand that people are different, not only physically but also mentally, psychologically, because we are not just physical entities, we are also intellectual and spiritual entities, and particular training systems worked for these individuals, although they may be very different, work very well. So the reason for that is that they believed in that, they felt it, that it's working for them, they were passionate about their training systems, and they introduce always something new, not for the sake of promoting particular training system, but for the sake of improving themselves. So saying that one system is correct and the other one is not is again not true, and that myth obviously doesn't hold water. So guys, let me tell you now my opinion. Again, bear in mind that it's subjective, because again, it's pointless talking about aesthetic preferences. You know, you may prefer classical architecture, some may prefer modern. We can't argue which one is better, but when it comes to everything that I have explained, although I really liked everything that Serge Nubret did and everything that he has achieved, and I devoted so many videos to him, I have to say that Arnold was simply the best for me. The reason for that, I mentioned in the video on Arnold, and why I think that Arnold was the best bodybuilder ever, is simply in the nature of bodybuilding. So there are 2 trademarks poses in bodybuilding, and if you're good in those 2, that's it. Those 2 poses unravel everything. You can't hide anything when you perform these 2 main bodybuilding poses. So number 1 is double biceps. Nobody, according to me, has ever came close to Arnold Schwarzenegger in double biceps. Front double biceps is Arnold's signature pose, and this is the signature pose for bodybuilding in general. You compare Arnold double biceps with anybody else after him until today, and you will understand why I'm saying that. Look at the whole body. from top to bottom, including legs and calves and waist and lats and arms and all the lines there. Nobody has come ever close to that. Not even Serge Nubret. In the double biceps, Serge Nubret doesn't come close to Arnold. When it comes to the second pose, which is again trademark pose in bodybuilding, this is side chest. So side chest, when you hit side chest, there is nothing to hide there. Your chest, your shoulders, the size of your arms, legs, calves, everything is there. And that side chest pose is another one that again nobody came close to Arnold. Nobody, no Mr. Olympia in 90s or later, nobody came close to it. Even Ronnie Coleman himself, the great Ronnie Coleman, admitted that in side chest pose, he said, these are his words, I look like a kid comparing to Arnold. You can check that, you can find the video and you will see. So if Ronnie Coleman, this is why he is great, because he admits that he wasn't the best in that pose. Ronnie Coleman couldn't come close to Arnold. And if he couldn't come close to Arnold in side chest, then what are we supposed to say? So this is my opinion. Now I would like to hear your opinions, so please send me your comments and tell me why do you think that Arnold was the best or Serge Nubret was the best, so we can discuss that. And obviously I believe that you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, like the video and send your comments. And also let me remind you once again that I have published 10 ebooks. They're all available on my website. All you need to do is to click on the link in the comments and you will find them. They're fully loaded with everything that you always wanted to know about muscle growth, fat loss, training for beginners, nutrition, lifestyle change, and similar topics. So guys, until the next video, I wish you all the best.